one of the most important NATO summits for the world. Of course, it comes at a time when Russia has galvanized much of the world, sort of behind Ukraine, against its actions in Ukraine. But it is certainly very important for our region. It's the first time NATO leaders will address what it'll likely call the challenge that China poses. And it's also the first time that all four Asia-Pacific partners of NATO will join the summit. So those are Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. It comes at a time when there's pretty big strategic convergence between many of the NATO countries and Australia and Japan, and a lot of the other Asia-Pacific countries. On the one hand, we all agree that the world is more dangerous and more unpredictable, and many of the countries in attendance, including Australia and Japan, have indicated that they will up their defence budgets. It's also a time when Australia recognises that Russia's invasion of Ukraine poses security challenges in our own region, something that the Australian public also acknowledges. And on the other hand, it's a time when European partners are sort of waking up, their words, not mine, to the challenge that China likely poses. That's, of course, in no small part due to Russia's invasion and Russia's no-limits partnership with China.
So what are the Asia-Pacific countries expected to bring to the table? How will the region feature in NATO's summit?
The main focus, of course, will be on Russia, Ukraine. I think that cannot be understated. Asia-Pacific partners will likely share their views on how, they see the challenges in our region. And they'll be supported by mainly the United States and the United Kingdom, who are keen to bring that perspective to the NATO summit a bit more closely. It'll also be reflected in the new strategic concept, where China will be featured for the first time. So the old strategic concept is now 12 years old, and it reflects a very different worldview that was prominent in 2010. And so it will be updated to reflect the current geostrategic circumstances.
How does Australia specifically benefit from attending this summit?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I would say that the benefits to Australia are threefold. The first one is that our new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has a chance to meet with many world leaders who are partners of Australia. So he's already met with the UK's Boris Johnson, and also I just saw on Twitter with South Korea's President Yoon. Australia has a very big interest in Russia's invasion of Ukraine failing. Australia is one of the biggest non-NATO supporters of Ukraine. And for Australia to be there at a time when NATO will commit quite significant support or further support to Ukraine not only shows our commitment, but also allows us to deepen relationships with existing partners. And finally, it's a time, as I said, that there's sort of geostrategic convergence. And so it's important for Australia to be at the summit, to listen to Europeans and the United States and Canada, how they see the world, how they see the challenges and opportunities that are emerging in this new world order, but also for Australia and the other Asia-Pacific partners to share with the summit how we see the region.
There isn't consensus within NATO, though, over how to treat China.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it will be really interesting to watch what comes out of the strategic concept. So at the moment, we have, on the one hand, the United States and the UK who are pushing for stronger language. And on the other hand, we've got countries like Germany and France who are wanting to tone down. So the strategic concept likely won't mention China as an adversary, but it'll probably refer to China as a systemic challenge. But at the same time, some NATO countries want to include a reference to this sort of NATO's willingness to cooperate with China. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
And given the increasing significance of this region, will countries here continue to be invited to attend future NATO summits?
I would assume so, yes. I think it's something, as I said, I think we should be there as well. NATO will remain focused on, it's in the name, on the Atlantic region, and a lot of European countries are concerned that the focus is shifting too much towards China. So I think we will see the focus remain squarely on Russia, but I do expect that to continue as there's greater recognition of China's hardened military stance and potential interests in Taiwan.
Dominique Fraser, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.